meet the intrepid journalist and amazing human, Lisa Ling. Lisa's show, This Is Life, kicks off its 8th season, which, I mean, sounds like a lot, but you have been doing this far before even this show. And let's take a look at a clip from the premiere show.
By 1982, 1 in 5 Detroit residents were out of a job.
People want to know, why is this happening to me? Who can I blame? In the beginning, the workers blamed the companies. Factories blamed the workers. The politicians blamed each other. And in the end, they kind of all reached a consensus. Let's blame Japan.
Okay, so that clip sets up the scene to talk about the story of Vincent Chin. And I was wondering if you could share that with us.
Yeah, so this season of This Is Life, we're doing something a little different. Because of COVID, we decided to pivot and ground each episode of the season in a moment in American history that didn't make it into the history books, and to kind of dissect it to figure out how it has impacted where we are today. And Vincent Chin was a young Chinese-American man who lived in Detroit. And Detroit, during the 80s, was the automobile capital of the world. And at a certain point, there was this economic downturn, and people were losing jobs left and right. And as Helen Zia, the journalist, said, people started blaming Japanese car manufacturers because they were producing much more fuel-efficient cars. So Vincent Chin was at a bar in Detroit and having a good time celebrating his bachelor party, and 2 out-of-work auto workers accused him of being Japanese. And they got into an altercation. The 2 men got kicked out. They waited for Vincent Chin. And so after Vincent Chin's murder, the killers never served a day in jail or prison. They got served a $3,000 fine. They even pled guilty. And it was one of those moments in Asian American history that the community became really galvanized. That case became the first civil rights case involving an Asian American in American history. And when you look at what's happening today, over the past year and a half, since COVID became rooted in this country, so many Asians have been targeted because the origins of COVID were in China for no reason. And we look at this story because in some ways, it's not different from what happened during the 1980s. And there's just been this pattern of discrimination and scapegoating of Asian Americans that has spanned more than a century. So I think it's really important that we go back and look into those moments that didn't make it into the history books, because we can't know how to fix things. We can't really know where we're going unless we know where we've been.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And, you know, we learn so much when you put these historical moments into context for us. What do you want the viewer to take away from this premiere?
Well, I think it's really interesting that right now, one of the fiercest debates going on in the government, in local legislatures, on school boards, is over what to teach our kids, like what kind of history to teach. And I think that it's really important to equip our kids with a whole array of history, because history in America has been told through a certain lens. I mean, my own kids are only 8 and 5, but I've told them about the internment of Japanese Americans. I've told them about the Chinese Exclusion Act. They know who Rosa Parks was. They know what Jim Crow laws were. And, you know, I've been teaching them to stand up for themselves and stand up for other people. And a couple of months ago, a little boy at my daughter's school called her Ching Chong. And without missing a beat, her best friend said, "I will not be a bystander." And went...
Wow.
And went and told the teacher. And, like, to me, that was an example of really great parenting, educating our kids, making them aware of the importance of standing up for all people, irrespective of their gender, their race, etc. And I think we need to get back together and understand each other.
I agree completely. Well, thank you. And the Asian American Foundation is something that you've worked really closely on, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I would love to make a donation. We admire everything that you do, and we reached out to One Hope Wine, a Napa Valley winery, on a mission to nourish the future. And I thank them so much, because they're going to donate $10,000 to the Asian American Foundation. Thank you. And I know I love you, Lisa Ling, so much. Thank you so much for gracing this news desk with your amazing, intrepid presence.
Well, and all these stories that you'll see, I mean, these are stories about, our history. It's not just Asian American history in this first episode. It's all of our history.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, Lisa's show, This Is Life with Lisa Ling, returns this Sunday and will be available to stream on CNN Go as well. Thank you so much.